Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I'm finally back with my first review on the channel after that update video I did from being sick with pollen and everything. It's driven me nuts, man. Anyway, today's review is for the newer, and I say newer because no joke, it's newer, and I've missed it by like 3 months, 4 months, something like that. In February, we had a Valentine's Day slasher come out called Hard Eyes. Now, Hard Eyes, I was really excited to see. I had heard a lot of good about it. I had heard it was on this border of almost like a modern day Scream movie, like the original Scream, the good one, you know what I mean? And I had heard that it was super fun. I had heard a lot of people talk about how the humor and the kind of goriness to it really blends well, and a lot of people like that, but it was almost on the comedy side, and almost like a romantic comedy on top of that, more than anything. And I was really intrigued by that and wanted to see what would happen. And again, it being a slasher, that's probably my favorite horror genre, or subgenre. And I gotta tell you, man, it didn't let me down. This comes from some writers that worked on things like the Vince Vaughn Freaky Friday horror movie called Freaky. It's got some other people who did some other things for like Expendables 4. I saw that recently. Oh my God, that's a horrible movie. But these guys, these three men actually put together a really good flick, man. I enjoyed the crap out of Hard Eyes, man. Probably one of the best slashers in recent years. I think I like Thanksgiving more, to be honest with you, but there's a chance that I like Hard Eyes more than Halloween 2018, and for sure Halloween Ends. Not Halloween Kills, but for sure Halloween Ends. Hard Eyes is really up there for me, to be honest with you. And I haven't seen new upcomers like, for example, Cloud in a Cornfield. I read the book years ago. For people who don't know, I reviewed it on my Mr. Wildboy 94 channel, and it was pretty bad, so I didn't want to delve into that movie yet. I've had friends tell me the same thing I complained about with the book, so at least it must be faithful to the book in some regard. But anyway, Hard Eyes essentially is about a young woman who messes up really bad at her job because there's a killer out there named Hard Eyes who is slaughtering young couples, going after young couples and murdering them in general. And she messed up as a marketer in her company that she's in, a big, like, New York company, I think is what it was. I think they're in New York, right? Chicago? Something like that. Big city, you know what I mean. And her boss doesn't fire her because she's in the middle of a contract, but she does bring in this young man that our main character girl had run into one morning and had accidentally given him a bloody nose by hitting her head against his head and so on and so on. But this young man is actually Mason Gooding from the Scream films, the newer Scream films, Chad. And I love that guy. He's even better here than he is in those films. He's just a charming, cool guy. I like him. He's just a good actor. He's one of the few modern day young men actors that I really dig. That isn't some kind of a weirdo guy like Timothy Chalamet or I don't know. You could end a list constantly, an endless list, matter of fact, of the weirdos that we have nowadays, like Pedro Pascal and so on and so on. But I like Mason Gooding. I think he's a really good actor so far. I'd love to see what he's going to do in the future. And he's brought in by their boss to kind of correct course on the marketing, try to heal up things in the company. I think this is hilarious, by the way, because it's almost like this is the Hollywood perspective of we can correct bad marketing and insulting customers by just time healing wounds. You would be surprised how many people on the internet don't forget shit, okay? So Hollywood, if this is truly your perspective on anything, you need to rethink a lot of things. So anyway, these two are not dating, but he does ask this young lady who's recently had a breakup out on a date just to kind of get to know her as a coworker, and he says that anyway. But he means it in an honest, earnest way, and he wants to go on this small romantic date at a restaurant to just talk about what's happening in the company, why the marketing campaign has been tied to Hard Eyes, and so on and so on. And a lot of things begin to spiral out of this when they have an encounter one night, or that very night, with Hard Eyes Killer, who is really cool looking, by the way. He's got like just the typical Jason Voorhees getup of like a trench coat and all that, but he's wearing like a mask that has hearts for the eyes, just like the title of the movie, obviously. They can also light up red, which is kind of cool. But the mask itself looks like a leather face, like skin stitched together type of thing. It's kind of rad. I like it a lot. Obviously, there's killers like Art the Clown that look way better, but I really like this slasher. It's one of those things that doesn't look iconic, but it's cool. Kind of like the slasher from that old horror movie Curtains. If you haven't seen that, another big recommendation from me. But anyway, most of this movie is them kind of slowly falling in love as they try to run away from this hard-eyes killer who's determined he's going to kill them because he thinks they're a couple, even if they say, hey, this is our first date and it's not really a date, happens to be on Valentine's Day. That's the general gist of the film. I can't really tell you too much more, aside from the kills are really cool. There's a little bit of gore in here. Not a ton, but there is some in here that's pretty nice. I like it a lot. And to be honest with you, I enjoyed Hard Eyes so much that I plan on getting a copy of this to add to the shelf over here with the other horror films that I love so much. There was a lot of cool stuff in here. A lot of really fun stuff. A lot of great humor and comedy in it. Again, not to the extent of almost parody, like something like Thanksgiving, for example. From, like, what was it, last year, the year before? Thanksgiving, in a lot of times, really leaned into that parody thing. Hard Eyes doesn't really do that. It just feels like modern-day Scream in a lot of ways. And you have all these side characters, too, I really like the police in here. You have kind of a detective duo named Hobbs and Shaw. One of them is Jordana Brewster from Fast and Furious. I was like, what? Why is she in this? And then I found out later on. Because she actually brought a really good performance in this movie. She was probably better than any performance I've ever seen her do, matter of fact. And I don't mean that as an insult. I grew up watching this woman, but still. You have like an older, chubbier cop lady in the police station that I really like her sarcasm. She was pretty funny. And there was somebody else. Oh, the main character has a best friend who is a Latina girl who just wants a sugar daddy to pay off her debt with. And not only is she really, really fine, but she is so funny. I really, really like her. I love the jokes they gave her. She is hilarious. She makes this movie in a lot of the ways. The killer reveal, that was pretty wild. I liked that. It seemed like it wasn't going to be as clever as I thought it ended up being, in the sense of how the film was made, what it was going for is like a Scream feeling movie. That was cool. I liked all of that, and I recommend it alone based on that and all the kills and stuff and how cool they were. I wish that some of the kills definitely have some CGI in there, and I can see why they would have to have that for what the film is going for, what kind of tone the movie is setting in the very beginning, but it didn't ruin the movie. A lot of the time it does. A lot of the time it gets a little too distracting in most horror films, but I don't think that happened with Hard Eyes, for me personally. But the cinematography was beautiful in here. There are certain scenes, like with these two, the main characters, being on dates and whatever, that looks like it's right out of a Hallmark movie, with like the background being kind of blurry and like trees on the streets might have lights in them, and they just kind of barely have a blur to them in the background. It's very well shot. There's a whole scene involving a drive-in that was so great. I loved it. One of my favorite places on the earth is a drive-in, and man, it was great to have that in a horror film in 2025. I don't really think there's anything else I can cover here. The music. There is a really good soundtrack for this film, by the way. It's kind of like Valentine's Day romantic songs, and it was really good. It was really good. I think we're already getting a Hard Eyes 2. I think they've already announced that, which is cool. I'm excited about that. But I hope it comes out soon. I hope it won't take forever to make this, or sequel, make that movie, whatever. Anyway, Hard Eyes. I really enjoyed it. If I had to recommend it, I totally would. And if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I'd probably, and I'm serious about this, it might be a little high for you. I could see myself rewatching this movie a lot. Maybe not as much as Thanksgiving. I really, really, really love Thanksgiving. But I could see myself rewatching this every couple of years, man. I really could. So I'm probably going to give it about a 4 out of 5 stars, man. It's not perfect, but it's pretty great for what it is. Pretty surprising for what it is, matter of fact, especially with modern day horror. I really like that slashers are coming back. I don't think I've said that yet, but I am glad. I'm glad that Terrifier movies have really kind of allowed that to happen. You know what I mean? I'm going back and I'm watching a lot of 2000 slashers and a lot of 90s slashers and thrillers and stuff. And man, I'm telling you, that to me is really the subgenre of horror that audiences are attracted to. It's really what I like the most in horror. Because it could typically be fun. You could be super serious or you can be a straight up comedy like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Does that really count as a slasher? maybe a pseudo slasher, I don't know, but still, you can do anything with slashers. And this is a great example of that. You can blend so much into one cool film like Hard Eyes and get so much out of it. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, go out of your way, go watch it. It's totally worth buying, I would say. And yeah, I'm going to add it to the collection, God willing. So thank you all for watching, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought about Hard Eyes. Are you excited for a sequel? Is this your favorite slasher of 2025 so far? I'd love to hear that down below too. I don't think anything's going to top it. I just don't. I haven't seen Final Destination yet. I'm trying to wait off till my mom and I can see it together, but still, I don't think that's going to top this for me. I just don't. And I love Final Destination. So maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I've heard a lot of good about it from friends like mine, my friend Horror, FFA. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later. Goodbye.